who would betray him answered, "Is it I, Rabbi?"
Okay, I was going to try to make this a minute, but this obviously has to be longer a bit. But essentially, what the context is, Josh is pointing out that in Matthew 26, and I had to look in the word myself. I have never I love it. I love this. So essentially, he's like, pay attention to what is being said there. Like, you could kind of tell, like, the Bible at times foreshadows a lot of stuff. And it's interesting by certain word choices. Then you can say translation, whatever. But keep in mind, translation is just like, variations and stuff. Anyways, he points out that everyone else, when Jesus said, one of you is going to betray me in Matthew 26, they all would say, Lord, is it I? Or is it me, Lord? But Judas is the one that said, Rabbi, or Rabbi, is it I? Or, is it me, Rabbi? So that's really cool. That's really that's interesting. And I was like, wow, I never caught that. That's wow. The thing about the Bible is that it tends to have, and sometimes it throws people off and such, but it tends to have certain words and phrases for a particular reason. And one of the things is the reason why that's important, and my pastor literally just talked about this in a sermon as we're going through Luke. He's talking about how if you pay attention to the Sadducees and the Pharisees, a lot of times they will say, Rabbi, they'll call Jesus teacher and such. Nicodemus did that, and John 3, he says, teacher, we know that you're blah, blah, blah. So, but they never call him Lord. Everyone else, like Peter, of course, the disciples, Mary and Martha, they call him Lord. Those who believe on him call him Lord. So that's the thing. But the one thing this just clicked my mind, and honestly, this is why it's so good. I love this. I'm gonna be honest. I love looking into things in general and seeing something new, but the word is so good. And just thinking about this, it's like some new insight. What's interesting about Judas doing this is, if you recall, who does he go to betray Jesus? He goes to the rabbis. He goes to the Pharisees, essentially, blah, blah. He goes to them. He goes to the enemies of Christ because of the fact that, he's like, they want him. They want him dead. So he does that, and he sells him for 30 pieces of silver, enough of a lamb, which is why, uses as a lamb. But the irony of it, and yes, I actually do mean the dramatic irony of it, is that it never really hit the dramatic irony of it, but now with this in mind, so when he betrayed Jesus, he went back to, the Pharisees and such, and he was trying to, get his money. And, he was trying to be like, hey, I betrayed an innocent man. He still doesn't call him Lord, and he doesn't even say that. He just said, I betrayed an innocent man. And they just blow him off. But that is the wildest thing about it, is that these guys who were also calling Jesus, Rabbi and such, they did not even care for Judas and such. So what should we take from this? Well, one, as it says in the word, and paraphrase it, and also I don't quite remember at the moment. So if you know what I'm talking about, you can put it in the comments. But essentially, we are to be in the world, but not of the world. So that's one. That's just goes to show. Don't. You're in the world, you're part of it, but don't be of it. Don't be like the world where it goes against Christ. And then too, I am going to read this verse. It's from Philippians 4:9. The things which you learned and received and heard and saw in me, these do, and the God of peace will be with you. I say that because imitate that which is good. And that, even though as Paul say that can be said about any other person that, who is of God, that you learn and such. Judas could have watched, he could have listened and heard from the disciples. But the thing is, he was literally with God. He was literally with the Lord of peace. It's well, but then again, we all are like that. So a lot of us have been like that at times. And gotta remember, those of us who are Christians, we're not better than those who are not. Because of the fact that we were once them. We were enemies at some point. And we could be tempted as well. So pray that God keeps you in his grasp. And of course he will, but still. But also at the same time, pray for those who are not of his, for we should want them to be with us. In any case, you have a blessed one.